Hello, good morning, everyone. If you can hear me and can see my screen clearly, kindly type in hi in the comment section, please. Hey, thank you very much for that confirmation. Thank God it's Friday. All right, 356. It's morning here. Good afternoon, anyways. 660, hi. 356, hello. Hey, Jawi. Oh, glad to see you. It's been a while. 843 is new here. Welcome on board. Continue to stay with us so that you can understand what is going on here. S&P 500. Okay, I will add that to my schedule for today if time permits me. Let me just write that down anyway. S&P 500. Okay. First time trading. All right. Okay. You're welcome on board. You'll still need some time to understand the nitty-gritty of this. I'll first of all advise that you take some literatures. You can go online to search for how to trade the forex pairs, do some readings, then we can begin to relate. Okay, Nigeria is from USA. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you for this confirmation. And once again, I want to welcome you all to yet another beautiful session of X-Trend Speed Live with my humble self, Sheriff Daramola. As usual, I shall be taking you on a trading journey where we shall be looking into the chart, evaluating price movements using chart patterns, trend line identifications, and market structures, and we shall be using these parameters to determine and look out for opportunities lining up for us during the New York session. In addition to this, we are also going to be looking at the pairs we've been following up throughout the week. We have some certain pairs we have been monitoring since Monday. We are going to look at how well they are doing and if there are any adjustments, advice, or probably if there are. Sorry, okay. Sorry for that breaking transmission. Like I said, if there is any advice or any addition or probably adjustments to this, pairs will be monitoring since Monday. I will be revealing them to you in the session. So what I'll be saying right now is I want you to fasten your seatbelts, stay with me throughout the session so that you don't miss out on any important information that I might be dishing out during the session. Hamad, good afternoon to you. All right. Okay. Without further ado, let's dive into the chart and let's see what is happening. Great, great, great. Glad to have you around, Carrie. Thanks for the. Okay, 359, good morning. Great. Okay, so let's move into the chart and let's see what is happening here. Well, the first pair we're going to be looking out for is, as usual, the US oil, and we have been on a tremendous profit run since the beginning of the week as we were able to take the move right from below the key level we identified here at $102 area. We were able to join the decline from this point right into the take profit target zone, which was hit yesterday, which dovetails to let's see how many pips that is. We had over 1,000 pips we caught this week on the US oil. Remember, during the course of yesterday's trading session, we were expecting that move into that TP target zone, which I told you, I shared this area with you yesterday at $94 area, which was in a consolidation phase at the time we were doing this live session yesterday. And I was telling you that if price comes back into probably somewhere around that key level at $95.50, we want to join the rally to the downside. And for those who already took in that trade right from the breakdown of the $96.50 area during the early hours of yesterday, I told you you could add more position to your existing trade at a retest of that structure, which I'm very sure you would have done, and we'd join the price right down into our TP target zone at around $90.50 area before we saw this move back up into the bullish trend line that was broken during the early hours of yesterday. So going into the New York session today, what is going to be our plans? First of all, I want to delete all this, as this is no longer relevant at this point, and let's have a clearer picture and then deliberate on what is going to be happening this week. So with the key level sitting at $95.50, I want to assume that this level is still going to serve us on the last day of this week, which is today. And let's see how price is going to play out in that regard. Right now, since the move from this area in the last 24 hours down into our TP target zone, we saw price come back up in the last 24 hours. And since price tested the $97 area, we've been seeing price do what looks like a consolidation phase around this area, giving us a clue into the indecision that might have gripped the market at this point. So what we want to be looking out for at this point is to be looking out for a breakout of structure that will give us a further signal, after which we see a retest of structure that will give us a confirmation into the direction the breakout has happened. So the first thing we want to be doing at this point, hold on a second, let me shift this demand zone into this place so that we can see what we are talking about very clearly. I'll delete this. All right. So one thing we noticed here is this. Give me a moment. Let us identify this consolidation phase here. And since the later part of yesterday, we saw our price has been consolidating. Give me a moment. Let's identify this consolidation phase. So we have a consolidation phase. We have this area at $96 area, and also we have this area as well at $96.80, which has been holding price in a tight range. And during the early hours of today, we saw a breakdown of this channel with an engulfing bearish candle. So the breakdown of this channel is probably going to be our signal, which we are looking out for. And remember, we don't get too excited at the sight of a signal, as we want to be waiting for a confirmation to give us that leverage to join the decline to the downside. So with this signal right now, we have a retest of structure, and if you are not in this trade at this point, then you might want to be looking forward to entering this trade right below the key level here at $95.50, which will give us a further confirmation that price is going down. So at this point in time, the most comfortable area, which will be most appropriate to take advantage of the selling momentum, is right below the key level, which I'm going to be identifying at 95.40 level area, which it's most appropriate to take our sell position. So with a stop loss right above previous structure, that is around 96.40 area, which is with those tails to, let's say, around 90, 100 pips thereabout, we should be having a take profit target at around the same demand area in the past. So one thing I want to be suggesting that we should move our stop loss right into, sorry, our take profit target right into the $91.50 area, which appears to be most appropriate at this point. As if we look left, we can see that we have a demand potential around this area. So this is what we are going to be looking out for going into the New York session, as we have the structure we have in the market right now is more of a bearish potential. So though, despite the fact we've already had that breakdown of structure here, we have a retest of structure. If you had missed this opportunity, that is the retest of structure here, if you have missed that, then you might want to be taking advantage right below the $95.50 key level. So this is what we are going to be looking out for going into the New York session. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to drop it in the comment section and I will be willing to be of help in that regard. So I'll be taking the 10-15 seconds out to read what is happening in the comment section, and I implore you to drop in a comment if you need further clarification on the US oil, which I've just explained so far. Okay, 715, good afternoon to you. Well, it's morning over here. How is the Philippines? Okay, 512 from Uganda, you're welcome around. All right. Yes, 512 is time to make money, of course. Okay. All right. In the absence of no question, I guess we need to move on. But before I do, something just came to my mind at this point. When I take a look at the structure, we already have this bearish potential that we are looking out for. Then the other scenario is, if we are going to be seeing a bullish momentum here, what do we want to be looking out for? To buy the US oil, which I'm not sure that is going to happen this week, but we never can tell. The only thing that will suggest a bullish potential here on the US oil is if price breaks above this channel with a significant candle, which could be an engulfing candle, a bullish engulfing candle. If we see a breakout of that structure, remember, we are not getting too excited at the sight of a signal. We want to be waiting for a retest of structure with patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the upside. So if I say patterns on lower time frame, then we are looking out for a reversal pattern, which could be a double bottom structure, an inverse head and shoulder pattern, or probably it could be your falling wedge. Now, in addition to that, remember we had this bearish trend line during the early days of this week, which was identified here, and I want to extend it further into this area. So we have that bearish trend line, which was a channel that was being respected during the later part stroke early hours of this week. And one thing we want to be looking at, there is a possibility that price could come into that area to do probably a double top structure to send price crashing to the downside. So if that is going to happen, then what we want to be looking out for is this. Let me give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about. If price comes into this bearish trend line, That is, price does not break above. That is most important. Price comes down probably into one level. It could be $95 area, it could be the $96 area, whatever level that is. Price comes back into that bearish trend line, and remember, wherever price comes into shall be the neckline of that reversal pattern we were looking out for. So if that happens and we see a breakdown of that reversal pattern, of that neckline of that reversal pattern, then we want to be looking forward to a retest of structure to join the decline to the downside. Remember, every signal we see, we don't get too excited, we don't join that signal unless we see a confirmation in the form of a retest of structure or probably a reversal pattern to set the tone for that move to the downside that we are expecting. As long as price does not break above this bearish trend line here, we still hold on our bearish bias here on the US oil. However, if we see a break above of that level, that is a break above that channel and that trend line, a retest of structure is probably going to send price going to the upside with a take profit at our $102 key level, which has been serving us in the last 2 to 3 weeks on the US oil. So this is our scenario here on the US oil. But on the major perspective, I'm still expecting that bearish momentum to hold, and if a bullish momentum might come, probably it could be next week. But for this week, let's still hold that bearish perspective unless a break above of that channel happens. Remember, we don't want to take unnecessary trades. We're already in profit on this position, on our positions on the US oil for this week, and we don't want to get into any unnecessary trade. So it's better you don't take a trade at all than to take a trade and lose money. So that is that on the US oil. So I want to move on to the UK oil and let's see what is happening. So on the UK oil, as usual, we always have a similar scenario. We were able to take that profit. Yesterday, were you able to take that profit? Price hit our take profit target yesterday. We had about how many pips that is? We took that move right from this area 2 days ago. Price came into this level yesterday. I told you if price does a retest back into the key level at $99 area, we want to take advantage of another potential opportunity, which will welcome us adding another position to our existing trade. So we took that trade down into our take profit target with over 500 pips cut here on this one. So if you are taking advantage of that move, a very, very big kudos to you guys for being able to be on standby to catch that move to the downside. Now that we are back into the $100 key level area, what are we going to be looking out for? So let me stretch out this key level. We have at $100 area, which is a very, very strong psychological level and is a level worth looking at closely. So we saw what happened in the last how many hours that is? In the last 12 to 18 hours, we saw our price came back into $100 mark, and price was caught in a consolidation phase, which is emphasizing the indecision at this point in time, as market participants are yet to make a decision on where price is going to go. Is price going to go further to the upside? We don't know. Is it going to continue to the downside? We don't know yet. Let's look at what structure is going to give us to make that determine that motive. So what are we going to be looking out for at this point? The first thing we want to be looking out for is to look out for a key level that will guide our action going into the New York session. So for the sake of clarity, I would like to bring out my line chart at this point, and we want to connect some series of demand level together. And what I see here is the $99.50 area, which has been holding price action for some time, at least in the last 12 hours. So let's go back to our candle chart. So our key level is always gold. So let's give it a gold color to emphasize its importance at this point. Then we label it for the sake of clarity. Key level at $99.50. $1.50 area. So this is what we have here. So let's put it at the top, at the bottom of this on the right hand side of our screen. Okay, so we have a key level sitting at $99.50. One thing we'll observe here is this: we already have a breakdown of that key level, and we have a retest of structure where price came back into our $100 mark area. Then what we want to be looking out for at this point, considering the long-term bearish momentum on this chart, we want to be looking for a downtrend continuation, where our take profit target is probably going to be at this bearish red trend line, or probably our previous TP target zone that has been respected in the past. So this is how we want to take advantage of that move. So one thing I want to be doing at this point is to place a limit order right below the structure here, which I think $99.30 area or $99.36 area looks most appropriate at this point, with our stop loss right above the previous structure, which is at right around that $100 mark, as anything above $100 mark doesn't appear to be suitable for us at this point. Hold on a second, let me readjust this. So we have something like this. So we have our take profit target somewhere around here, which dovetails to, let's say, minimum of 350 pips move to the downside from that area. So at this point, let's see how price action is going to play out in our bearish potential here on the UkOil. Now, the other scenario we are going to be looking out for is this: if price breaks above that key level at $100 mark area, that is, we have a significant breakout of that structure, it could be an engulfing candle, then definitely we want to be looking out for a retest of structure to give us that confirmation, where we're going to be looking out for that confirmation on our lower time frame. It could come in the form of a double bottom structure, an inverse head and shoulder pattern, a falling wedge, or whatever reversal pattern you may count that might come up. Then we could take advantage at a breakout of structure for a bullish potential, which will be a counter trend opportunity into the selling opportunity zone we identified during the early days of this week. So maximum, a key level at $104 could be a TP target for any bullish momentum here on the UkOil. Remember, at the sight of a signal, we are not getting too excited, as we want to wait for the confirmation to happen before we join any rally or decline on this pair. So this is my scenario here on the UkOil. We have two scenarios already on the UkOil. The first scenario is a bearish potential here, where we've already seen a breakdown of that structure at $99.50 area. We saw a retest of the key level at $100 area, and we are looking for a bearish momentum right at an entry point below the level identified at $99.50, with a take profit target at around $96 area, which dovetails to approximately 350 pips to catch here on the UkOil. And the other scenario I identified here on the UkOil is a bullish momentum, and that is if a bullish momentum is going to happen, we want to see a breakout of that structure. We want to see a significant breakout of that structure, which could come in form of a bullish engulfing candle. Remember, we're not getting excited when we see such a candle. Remember, we are on a bearish, long-term bearish momentum, and that move could actually be a false move. So we want to wait for confirmations in the form of a retest of structure, go down to our lower time frame, and look out for patterns that will support a trend continuation to the upside to join that counter trend opportunity into the $104 key level area. So this is my perspective here on the UkOil. If you need further clarification, feel free to drop it in the comment section, as I will be taking 10 to 15 seconds off to look at what is happening in the chat section. So if you have any questions, if you need further clarifications, feel free to drop in the comment section below. Good morning, Mohammed. 1385. Good morning to you. You're new here. Glad to have you around. Just pay attentive to what I've been explaining so far. I'm trying as much as possible to make sure our our entry details our entry details are very simple to take. And one thing I've been doing is to identify a key level that will guide our actions during the New York session. So when you see a key level, what we want to be looking out for, if we see price above the key level, then we know that price is going bullish. And if we see price right below that key level, then we know price is going bearish. So I know it will take you some time to understand this style of trading, but be patient, stay with us, continue to be with us. I am always around 11 a.m. West African time on a daily basis. Come around and join us, and you will be glad you did. I want to know why selling session is in red and black. Okay, I think someone will answer you on that. Hello, I'm new 672. Okay, glad you're around. You're welcome on board. Just be patient and stay with us here, and you'll be glad you did. Streamroller, good morning. Good morning, friend. How are you? I'm fine and trust you are doing well. Silver. Okay, we'll look at silver. I will I just hope that I will be able to look at silver because I still have some couple more pairs to talk about here. Somebody has suggested S&P 500. Okay, I'll be putting down silver at this point, and let's see how silver is going to play out. And then 359 is seeking for GBP USD. Oh, GBP USD. I have a position on GBP USD which was closed yesterday. We can look at it also. Let's see how our price is playing out there on the GBP USD as well. Oh, glad you are, Streamroller. Glad you are. So let's move on. So the next pair we're going to be deliberating on is the GBP CHF, which we were expecting a bullish momentum on the GBP CHF yesterday, but it appears price is not gelling in that direction as price continue to find lower lows and lower highs. So at this point, what I'll be advising us to do at this point is to pass this trade and let us see how price is going to close for the week, after which we come back next week to look at how we could take advantage of an opportunity. Remember, during the course of last week's trading session, we took advantage of this bullish move which broke out of the channel we identified earlier, and we saw this retracement move, which we thought is going to end around this area, and we were waiting for the breakout of that key level. We're actually looking for a significant breakout, and if that breakout happens, we want to look for a retest of structure before we join the rally to the upside. But unfortunately, that never happened as price continued to rally right below the key level we identified. So this morning, while I was looking at the chart, I saw the structure, I saw this key level here. Remember, we had a reversal pattern here. That was broken out. It could be price wants to come back to do a retest of that neckline before we see the move to the upside. So that we never can tell at this point. It's already the last day of the week. Anything could happen. I would advise that we just pass the trade at this moment. If your price has hit your stop loss, it's okay. We could still make our money back when we come back next week on the GBPCHF. So on the GBPCHF, let's pass this trade for now and wait till next week to look out for what pattern is evolving at this point. So that is that on the GBPCHF. So the next pair we're going to be talking about is the GBP New Zealand. In fact, we have been waiting for that bearish momentum all week. But lo and behold, during the course of last week's trading session, we saw the final breakout of that level at 1.935 area. And one thing I would say is this: kudos to you if you are able to stay in that trade despite the fact that price was right above that key level for I think 72 hours. Yes, that's 3 days, 3 long days before we saw that bearish move to the downside. So presently you will be in profit of about how many pips now? Around 130 pips. I actually have two positions running on this one. So I'm roughly around 200 and something pips on this one. So one thing I want to be waiting for is this. Remember I told you yesterday that once we see a breakdown of this level at 1.935 area, we want to be looking for a retest of structure where we'll be looking for patterns that will send price to the downside. And if price comes back into the structure and we see patterns that support a trend continuation to the downside, we want to add one more position to this trade at this point. So what I'm looking out for at this point is this. First of all, I moved my stop loss to somewhere above this area, somewhere close to my entry level. Move my stop loss right there. Then I want to see how how price is going to play out during the New York session. As we can see, we are right within a consolidation phase at this point, and this consolidation phase could probably trigger either a retracement move into, it could be a retracement move up into this area before we see the move to the downside, or it could turn out to be a trend continuation pattern where we see a breakdown of the 1.92800 area, a retest of structure, then you could add one more position to this trade. So this is my scenario here on the GBP New Zealand. In fact, it was a very stressful week for GBP New Zealand as price was just oscillating right above that key level. But finally we had that breakout yesterday. I'm glad that happened, and let's see how price is going to play out. See, because I have multiple entries on this one, I placed my take profit target at 1.92, but the maximum perspective we are looking at is 1.911 area. We have a TP target around this area that we are looking out for, which dovetails to how many pips that is, at least a minimum of 250 pips to catch here if price moves significantly well in that direction. So this is the perspective I'm having here on the GBP New Zealand. If you have any questions in that regard, feel free to drop it in the comment section and let's see how we can be of help. Cheryl Papa is asking for what time market time is for West Africa. It depends on what market time you're talking about. Are you talking about the UK session, the US session, the Australian session, or which one, please? Kindly clarify that so that I can give you further clarification in that regard. I hope I'm clear on that. Okay, Lisa, Sonny, hi, glad. Okay, Tap Zen, hi, how are you? Good morning. You're welcome on board. So let's move on to the next pair. The next pair is the USDDKK, which Wadia introduced to us here during the course of the week's trading session, and we had a scenario here where we saw that price has been on a long-term bullish momentum. Let's go to the 4 hours time frame and look at what I'm talking about here, and we see that price has been on a long-term bullish momentum. Hold on a second. I think we started from the weekly time frame, I guess. Was it the weekly or the daily time frame? Hold on a second. Okay, was on the daily time frame. Okay, on the daily time frame, the first thing we observed was a long-term bullish momentum, which you can see price has been respecting that bullish trend line since February this year. Price has been oscillating right above that bullish trend line, and at no point in time did we see price break down the trend line, giving us a clue into the strong bullish momentum that has gripped the market at this point. Now at this level, he was asking that what is my perspective here? Though the perspective is very bullish, but it's not appropriate that we enter any trade at this point because we are far off the breakout of structure. We had a breakout of structure here, and we are already far away from that breakout of structure. So what we want to be looking out for is a pullback. We want to be looking for a retracement move, where after which we're looking for a trend continuation potential to the upside. So now this is an impulse leg we just identified here. This is an impulsive move. And from a technical perspective, we understand that after every impulse leg, there is a retracement phase. Now, when is this retracement phase going to start? We don't know yet. We don't know yet. So how do we know if a retracement phase has started? Well, the first thing we want to understand is this. For a retracement phase to start, we must see a reversal pattern right at the tip of that retracement phase, which I've identified here. So we must see a reversal pattern around that area to give us a clue into the status of a reversal setup forming. So on the daily time frame, we can't see that very clearly, as we need to scale down to a much lower time frame to look out for this pattern. So what I did was to move down to the 1 hour time frame. I think it's the 1 hour time frame. Okay, we moved down to the 2 hours time frame, I guess. So we saw a pattern here. Initially, it was looking more like a double top structure, but unfortunately, we saw this breakout of that structure one more time, hereby negating that double top pattern we identified earlier. However, we still have something that looks like a reversal pattern, as we can see that since price came into the 7.46 area, we have been seeing multiple rejection of that area, giving us a clue into the strength of the sellers at this point. In fact, during the course of yesterday's session, we saw this sharp move to the downside, giving us a very significant clue into a potential selling momentum building up behind the scenes. So even though we have a clue into a possible selling momentum here on the 2 hours time frame, it is very important that we wait for further confirmations to join the decline. So what I want to be looking out for is that we already identified a neckline here at 7.39 area. Is it 7.39 or 7.4? Okay, 7.39 area, I guess. The 7.39 area, we identified a key level here, which might also serve as a neckline going forward. So what we want to be looking out for at this point is a significant breakdown of that neckline. Remember, we don't get too excited when we see a signal, as we want to wait for further confirmation to join the decline. So if we see a breakdown of that neckline, then we want to wait for price to come back to do a retest of structure, after which we go down to the lower time frame to look out for patterns that support a trend continuation to the downside. And we have our take profit target right within our golden zone area. What do I mean by our golden zone area? Our golden zone area is right between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg. So what am I talking about here? Let's go to the daily time frame and let's see what I'm talking about. So on the daily time frame, what we observed is, the first thing we observed this impulsive move to the upside here. And what we want to be doing is to bring out our retracement tool. Sorry, okay, can anyone hear me? Please kindly confirm you can hear me. All right, I think I'm back on. So what we want to be doing is to bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool and run it through that impulse leg, and we should be identifying between the 50 and the 78.6% as our buy opportunity zone. And if we do that, we have somewhere around here as an area we want to be looking to take advantage of a bullish momentum, and at the same time an area we want to be looking for our TP target for the selling momentum we will be taking if price breaks down that neckline. And if you look at this closely, you can see that the buying opportunity zone falls right around the area where the key level and the bullish trend line share a confluence, giving us a clue into the sensitivity of that area. So going back to our 2 hours time frame, what I'm saying is this: we want to wait for price to do a breakdown of that neckline, a retest of structure to give us a further confirmation that price is going to the downside, with a take profit target sitting right in between the 7.135 area and the 7.25 area going forward. So this is our scenario here. And where would our take profit target, where would how many pips is going to be? At least we have a minimum of, let's say, 1,400 pips to catch here. So we have our entry point right below this key level. That is after a breakdown retest of structure. Then we should be having our take profit target at least within this zone, which dovetails to at least a minimum of 1,400 pips. So where will our stop loss be? Let's put our stop loss right above the previous structure here, and let's see how price plays out in the next couple of hours. So I'm not sure if this move is going to happen this week, but let's just pen this down, put in our watch list, and let's monitor this together. So this is my scenario here on the USDDKK. If you have any questions, feel free to drop in the comments section. All right. So I guess we just have to move on to the next pair. Are there any questions whatsoever? Hello, Mary Q. I hope I got that pronunciation correctly. Andrian25. Hello, you're welcome. 35910. Good morning. ZMX69. Hi, how are you? Glad to have you around. Mary Quee. Oh, you mean I didn't get that correctly, I guess. Okay. So let's move on to the next pair in the absence of no question. So the next pair is the USDJPY, which we deliberated on yesterday, and we were looking forward to a bearish momentum here on the USDJPY, and this is my scenario here. Despite the fact that we've been on long-term bearish momentum here on the USDJPY, what I'm looking out for is this. The first thing I did on the 2 hours time frame is to identify this bullish trend line, connecting the series of higher lows. At this point, we have this uniform bullish trend line which was identified here. And one thing we observed is that since this impulsive move to the upside, that is from the 137.100 area, we saw this impulsive move, and as soon as price gets to 139.360 area, we've been seeing multiple rejection of that area, giving us a clue into a reversal setup involving before our highs. So what we want to be doing at this point is we already have something that looks like a double top structure, and since then price has been finding lower highs until we saw this breakdown during the early hours of today, and price came back to do a retest of this level. So what I want to be doing at this point is to identify a key level, which I already did at 138.660 area. And what we want to be looking out for at this point is a breakdown of that neckline. So we want to see a breakdown of this neckline in the form of something like this. We have a breakdown of neckline, a retest of structure, giving us further confirmations on lower time frame to join a decline to the downside. So I have an entry point right at 138.668, where I'm looking for selling opportunities from this area. So one thing you want to be doing here is this. Let's scale down to a much lower time frame. Let's go to the 15-minute time frame. Let's see what is happening around this area. So on the 15 minutes time frame, this is what we have here. So I have an entry point right here. Just enter with a small position at this point, as we want to test waters. We want to see price come down a little bit, then do a retest of structure. Then after, if we see a retest of structure, we look out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation. Then we can now enter with our full position size. So we have a take profit target sitting at around 137.800 area, which dovetails to, I think, roughly 90 pips to catch here. And let's see how price action plays out from here. So on the USD JPY, I'm expecting a bearish momentum. which is more or less a reversal, a counter trend opportunity, as we can see that on a long-term perspective, we are on a bullish momentum. So at least price might probably come into respect this bullish trend line before we see that trend continuation to the upside. So if you are not comfortable with the counter trend opportunity, then you can wait for price to come back, come down into the 137,800 area before looking out for that trend continuation to the upside here on the USD JPY. So on the GBP USD, who was asking us to do something on GBP USD? I think what was that, please? 359. I hope 359 is still around. I hope 359 is still around. So I'm about going into I'm about diving into the GBP USD at the moment. So let's see what is happening. I told you earlier I had an opportunity on GBP USD where I took profit here yesterday at 1.17820 area, and that gave me around 140 pips, I guess. Yes, 140 pips. That gave me around 140 pips yesterday. And we've been seeing a scenario. Hold on a second. Let's go to a higher time frame. Let's see what is happening so that we can have a look at this together, so we can be on the same page. So on a 4 hours time frame, the first thing you will observe is that price has been trending to the downside here on the GBP USD. Price has been trending since God knows when. I think since May. It has been trending for a very, very long time. And if we look at what has been happening since the mid of June last month, we saw our price was initially respecting this temporary bearish trend line before we saw that outright breakout of the key level we identified a couple of weeks ago at 1.2200 area. Price did multiple rejection of that level before we saw another trend continuation to the downside. This trend continuation later saw price break down the previous demand zone here. We had this area that has been holding price supported during the month of June. Not until the early days of this month, we saw that outright breakdown of that demand zone to give us a further clue into the strength of the sellers at this juncture in the market. Right now, since I took this profit yesterday, and I was actually waiting to see how price is going to react from this point to know if we are going to join a decline to the downside. So I'll be sharing with you my first scenario and then the other potential opportunity I think might be happening on the GBP USD. So my first scenario here on the GBP USD is this. On the GBP USD, since the beginning of the week, we saw this move to the downside. Price has been trending to the downside since the beginning of the week. We have this impulsive move to the downside. We have this impulse leg. And one thing we want to be looking out for a trend continuation is a pull-up, a retracement phase. We all understand that from a technical perspective, after every impulse leg, we expect price to do a retracement move into our golden zone area before we see the trend continuation in the direction of the prior leading price action. So if we bring out our Fibonacci retracement tool and run it through that impulse leg so that we can identify our golden zone area, we have something like this. So we have our golden zone area between the 50 and the 78.6%, which I've already identified here as an area I'm looking forward to taking advantage of a selling potential here on the GBP USD. So I have between 1.18650 area and the 1.19200 area for a selling opportunity here on the GBP USD. So what am I looking out for? So I'm looking forward to price coming back into this area. You can see that this area also shares a confluence with that bearish trend line. That's the first one. Then it shares a confluence with the key level we identified at 1.19200. The blue line you can see on your screen is the major key level I have here, as this will be my yardstick going into the next week's session. Yes, to the next week. Let me identify this level, key level at 1.192, so that we can have, hold on a second, let's, key level at $1.19200. So I'll place this right at the top, so it could be in the center, I think. Or should I put it on the right hand side so that we can have it clear? Let me put it on the right hand side here and give it a gold. So we have the key level sitting at 1.19200 area. You can see that the bearish trend line and the key level and the selling opportunity zone falls within that area where I'll be looking forward to a bearish potential. So what I'm looking out, this is the kind of pattern I'll be looking out for. Looking out for something like this. Price comes into this area. It could be a double top structure. It could be an inverse head and shoulder pattern. It could be a rising wedge, flag pattern, whatever that is. Look out for breakout of structure on your lower time frame, and then I'll join the decline to the downside. Where will our take profit target be? Since we already have an impulsive move to the downside, if you have been following my trading style, you will observe that we normally extend the impulse leg into the future, and if we use our Fibonacci extension tool, we aim at it between the 127.2 and the 1414 area as our take profit target. So we have somewhere around here as our next take profit target. Give me a moment. Let's identify between the 127.2 and the 1414 area as our next TP target. TP target. Hold on a second. Let me place this right at the center of this box. So we give this a yellow. Okay, good. So we are good now. So that will be dovetailing to how many pips? Let's see, at least a minimum of 200 pips to catch here if price moves as expected. So that's the first scenario I'm looking out for here on the GBP USD. I'm waiting for price to come into that selling opportunity zone to take advantage of a trend continuation to the downside. So that's the first scenario. Hold on a second. Hold on. So we'll be having something somewhere around here as our selling opportunity. So we are waiting for price to come into this area. So it depends on the kind of structure that will determine our entry point here. So this is just a speculation at the moment. So whatever structure forms around this area will determine how we are going to enter. So the second perspective I'm looking at this is this. At this point in time, there is a possibility that price could do a temporary bullish momentum here on the 1 hour time frame. Yes, it's very, very possible. And if that is going to happen, what am I going to be looking out for? Since we've been on a bearish momentum since the beginning of the week, and we can see that price has been respecting that bearish trend line. This bearish trend line, the red line I'm waving on your screen right now, we can see price has been respecting that bearish trend line since the beginning of the week, and it has been respecting it as far as the later part of last month. And one thing I want to be looking out for here is this. If we are going to be having a bullish momentum, I want to see a breakout of that trend line. I want to see price insisting that it is no longer respecting that bearish trend line for me to be sure that we might be having a turnaround anytime soon. So if price breaks out of that bearish trend line, and if possible breaks out of the key level we identified at 1.19200 area, then we want to be sure that this is a bullish signal or probably a reversal signal building up at this point. Remember, we do not get too excited at the sight of a signal because it is just a signal that might not hold. It could be a false one. So what we want to be looking out for is a retest of structure. That is, price comes back to retest that bearish trend line or the key level at 1.19200, after which we look out for reversal pattern within this area to join the potential rally to the upside. For me, if this rally happens, it could be a temporary one, and it could be a retracement of the previous impulse leg. if we go to the daily time frame, you'll see what I'm talking about. This is a daily time frame here. And so we have this impulse leg. We have this impulse leg that began sometime in May down into this area. So it could be seeing price do a retracement into probably the golden zone of that impulse leg before we see the trend continuation to the downside. So that is if we are going to be seeing a bullish momentum here on the GBP USD. However, my bias is still very bearish on the GBP USD. It's only going to change into a bullish momentum if we see a significant breakout of that bearish trend line, a retest of structure with patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation that will make me join a bullish potential here on the GBP USD. So this is my scenario on the GBP USD. If you need further clarification or if you have any question whatsoever, if in what I have discussed with you in the last couple of minutes, feel free to drop it in the comment section. I shall be taking the next 10-15 seconds to look at what is in the comment section. If you have any question whatsoever, please drop it in the comment section and I shall be very willing to be of help. $359. I hope you understand my explanation so far. Uyen. I hope I just pronounced that very well. Hi, how are you? You're welcome. Mikey20, good day to you. 922, hi. Thomas, glad to have you around. 2436, hello. Trust you're doing good. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, 359, you're welcome. Any questions? Okay. In the absence of none, I guess unfortunately I'm going to be calling it a day. It's already noon here. I'm already out of time. I'm so sorry I will not be able to take silver and the S&P. I'm so sorry about that. So let's quickly do a recap of what I have discussed so far in the last 1 hour. So the first pair we deliberated on today was on the US oil, where I told you how much we're expecting a bearish momentum. And lo and behold, we already have price breaking out of our channel, giving us a bullish potential here. And one thing we want to be looking out for at this point, remember I told you how we're expecting price to break down the $95.50 area, a retest of structure to join the decline to the downside. But it appears price has finally broken out of that channel, which is also part of the perspective we were looking out for. So if price has broken out of this level, one thing we want to be looking out for is this. I told you that this bearish trend line here still holds a bearish bias. If price at the end of the day rejects this trend line, then we want to still be looking forward to a bearish momentum. And how are we going to be looking out for that? I think this rejection might happen in the next couple of hours, if possible. That is, we've already seen a retest of this, which also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line, that black bullish trend line here. We already have this. Then we want to see price come back down a little bit, then do a retest one more time of that bearish trend line. Then we look out for structures like a breakout of structure, retest of structure to join the decline to the downside. So one thing I want to look out for at this point is this. I want to see how far this second candle will go down. Remember, we are not joining any bullish or bearish potential at the moment. We want to see this. We want to see how price is going to play out in the next couple of hours. Let me delete this and let me show you what I mean again. We want to see how price is going to play out the next couple of candles, 1, 2, 3 candles. I want to see how far it's going to go down. Then if price comes back up a little bit, finds a lower high, and this can be monitored on your lower time frame. You can use your 15 minutes time frame to do this. then we look out for a breakout of structure, breakdown of structure, retest of structure, then we can join the decline to the downside. So with this setup here that we have here now, I will want to adjust our key level to fit into the present structure we have here. So we already have a breakout of that structure, so we have something around this area going forward. So this is what I want to be looking out for right now. 96, I think 97 area appears to, let me bring out my, okay, 97 area appears to be most appropriate at this point for this. So let's relabel this key level as $97 area. So this is what we are going to be looking out for now. If price comes back down, do a retest, then wants to break out of structure to join the decline to the downside. So our entry point will be readjusted to right below that key level. So what we'll be having is something like this. If price does a reversal pattern here, it just gives us more room to catch more pips earlier. So this is what we'll be looking out for with our stop loss right above the previous structure here. That's around 150 pips to catch here. Stop loss. Okay, so that's the first scenario here for a bearish potential. Then the bullish potential is if we see outright breakout of that channel, that red dotted line we identified earlier. We want to see price break out of it significantly well, then a retest of that key level at $97 area. Then we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the rally to the upside with a take profit target at around $102. So let's be mindful of this update on the US oil, and let's see how price is going to play out during the New York session. Then we moved on to the UK oil. I'm very sure we are going to have a similar scenario here too as well. Yeah, that's what I just said. We already have a break above of our key level at $100 mark. The $100 mark will still hold at this point, and in fact we already have a break above of that bearish red line here. So one thing we want to be looking out for, like it's already on my screen here, look out for breakout. We want to see a retest of that structure. It could be a retest of the key level at $100, or it could be a retest of the key level at $99.50 area. Reversal patterns on lower time frame, then we can join the rally to the upside with a take profit target sitting at around $104 area. So right now we are not getting too excited with this bullish engulfing candle. Remember, we want to wait for confirmation in the form of a retest of structure, after which we look out for patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the upside. So that is the scenario we're looking out for on the UK oil as we head into the New York session. Then we moved on to the GBPCHF, where I told you to pass this trade as we're still not sure how price is going to play out. Personally, I'm expecting a bullish momentum here on the GBPCHF, but we don't know when it's going to come. So I told you to pass this trade and let's see what happens. Then by next week, after the week has closed, we can now use what structure has formed and what participant in the market is forming during the early hours of next week to determine where price is going to be heading next week. Then we went on to talk about the GBP New Zealand, where we were expecting that bearish momentum in the last 72 hours, which finally happened during the course of yesterday's trading session. We saw this bullish move to the downside, which gave us about 130 pips. And one thing I said at this point is that we should be waiting for price to come back to do a retest of this 1.935 area or somewhere around that area, with patterns on lower time frame that supports a trend continuation to the downside to add more position to our existing trade. I also stated a caveat here that should price not go that far and price breaks down this level at 1.92800 level, if we see a retest of structure, we could add position to this trade. I personally have a take profit target sitting at 1.92 area, and the reason why that is because I have multiple entries on the GBP New Zealand. However, we have a long-term TP target which is sitting at around 1.912 area and 1.90700 area, which will be dovetailing to at least a minimum of 250 pips to catch here on the GBP New Zealand. So let's see how price plays out in that regard on the GBP New Zealand. Then we moved on to talk about the USDKK, the USDDKK, where I told you how much we should be expecting a reversal pattern, considering the fact that price has been rejecting the 1.745 area in the last 48 to 72 hours. So in order to help our actions to make things simpler for us during the New York session, we were able to identify this neckline area as 7.391 area, where we are looking forward to a breakdown of that area to give us a signal, after which a retest of structure should give us a confirmations that price is going to the downside. So we have our take profit target sitting at around this area, which also shares a confluence with the key level we identify at 7.2 area, and then it also shares a confluence with the bullish trend line, where we'll be looking for a trend continuation to the upside from here. Then we moved on to the USDJPY, where we're expecting a bearish momentum here also in the form of a reversal pattern. As we can see, we have a bullish potentials for some time now. So with this impulse leg and price continue to reject that 1.394 area, it gives us a clue into a reversal setup forming at this point as we continue to find lower highs. So one thing we want to be looking out for is a breakdown of this neckline, a retest of structure, after which we look for patterns on lower time frame to join the decline to at least the bullish trend line we identified on the daily time frame. So I told you how I've placed a pending order here with like a small position size, like half of my normal position size on this one, just to test water and see how price plays out. And if I see price break down, then come back to do a retest of structure, I want to add my full position into this trade to join the decline to the downside. So we are aiming at about 90 pips here on the USDJPY with a stop loss right above 138.950 area, and let's see how price plays out here on the USDJPY. Then we moved on to talk about the GBP USD, which 359 told us to look at, and I told you how I'm expecting a bearish momentum here. And one thing I said at this point is that I want to be patient to see that price comes back into my selling opportunity zone right between the 1.8690 area and the 1.19200 area to take advantage of a selling potential here on the GBP USD. So if that does not happen, I will likely going to pass this trade, though we have a level here at 1.83300 area, which is highlighted with the golden color here, and it's very possible that price might continue to the downside from this point. So from this point, I mean, price might continue downside from this point, but I'm not sure if that is going to be so. I already take a profit here yesterday, so I'm comfortable already. If price does not go into my selling opportunity zone, I'm just going to pass. It's already the last day of the trading week, and anything can happen today. However, if we look closely into what the structure is giving us here, the structure here, let me look at it again. We have this impulsive move to the downside. We have price coming here. We have a higher low at this point, and one thing we want to be doing is, okay, if this higher low is broken, we have a trend line here. Hold on a second, let me bring out my line chart here so that we can have a better, okay, we have something like this here. We have, so if we are going to be selling here, then we want to wait for a signal in the form of a breakdown of this bearish trend line, a retest of structure. Then we look out for patterns on lower time frame to join the decline to the downside here on the GBP New Zealand, GBP USD rather. So this is my perspective so far for today. We were able to look at how many pairs, 1, 2, 3, I think 7 pairs today, and that's quite a lot of opportunities lining up for us during the New York session. Remember, today is the last trading day of the week, and if you, based on the markets, the instruments we have been analyzing this week so far, it has been very profitable for us. So it's better we keep our profit. So if you are going to take advantage of a trade, we don't get excited at the sight of a signal. We want to wait for price to do a confirmation in the form of a retest of whatever structure that have been broken before we want to join either the decline or the rally, whatsoever that brings us. So on this note, I would like to thank you first of all for being around with me. I really appreciate it. It has been a good moment being with you guys, and I look forward to seeing you same time Monday, 11 a.m. West African time. And in addition to that, I just want to wish you best of luck during the New York session and a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank you and do have a good day. Bye bye.